Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Koyomimonogatari. Tonight we're on episode 5. So, what happened on the last episode? That is a great question. Let me boom, 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 boom. Get this is the comments for episode 4 on the screen. We're getting ready for episode 5. Episode 4 was our Kombaru mini reflection arc because we've had our reflective or flashback might be an even better word. Reflective is just, I said reflective and then I immediately thought about, because that's what the entire episode was about, was the reflection of the water surface, and so it's just gotta be careful with my wordage. But yeah, our flashback, whatever you want to call it, arc that's in the past for Kombaru, where the the oddity thing of the situation, the story was about the reflection of the water in Kombaru's bath, and how Kombaru's dad had seen Ga Toei, the person that he had thought he had seen Ga Toei, the person he would later be with in the water's reflection. But the kind of, I think it was Shinjigahara over the phone, had some dialogue with Araragi about it, where the kind of conclusion was the water's surface, not only is the water's surface unsure or constantly moving, undulating. I just love the word undulating. Constantly moving, kind of ambiguous. Not only is that ambiguous, but the memory of the events, memory itself is also ambiguous and not perfect. What's the word? Whatever the word. So while when he actually meets Ga Toei, he might even if he thinks oh, this is the woman that I saw back then, his memory fallible. His memory is fallible, right? So he's going back in it, and that's she wasn't literally in his bath, in his reflective bath, but it's just the way that it kind of boom brain bops in his brain. You know what I'm saying? All right, bet. So comments. Let's go through some comments. Let me just start at the top. So yeah, and this gets into one of the fun parts about the episode that is also very important, of the Kombaru getting naked outside the locked door and while Araragi's in the bath, which is different than most of the other bath things we've seen. It's funny Kombaru, let me read a little bit of this. For all the pervy fun she has with Araragi, so she can say that they're close, when she actually talked about something personal from her life regarding to her parents, she could only do so with a thoroughly locked barrier between them. And she might be burying herself, stripping down, but only in a way that doesn't actually reveal anything, hence the wall in the way, right? And so it's also this, make sure to rewatch it a bunch more times so you comprehend it fully. Oh yeah, I'm rewatching that scene for comprehension's sake. I'm just so I can think about it more. Surely. But yeah, it's crazy to me. Because it makes me think it's counterintuitive or something, right? Where or not even necessarily counterintuitive, but flawed. There's a flaw of okay, you're revealing yourself, but you're doing so with a barrier between them. So what's actually being revealed, you know? The story's getting across, but I mean, come the end of the episode where Araragi calls Kombaru up, and she's still she doesn't really I feel she immediately kind of deflects the question of what do you see in the reflective water, the reflective water surface. She kind of deflects it with oh, my own massive honkers, you know. That's not quite what doesn't she talk about her abs being sculpted as well? I don't remember, but maybe that's me just projecting. Whoa, okay. But yeah, so it's funny how they have the moment of connection, but it's got that barrier up, so later when they kind of have another opportunity to connect, it doesn't really go anywhere, right? So I feel that's the consequence of the barrier, which is interesting. Yeah. This I also think is a good point as well. More importantly, the fact that Araragi is presenting it this way means he's aware of these things. The question that it's cool because we're kind of doing this. Obviously we're doing light novel order, right? And so not even that. That's some minor shifts here and there, but just to point out the structure of when we're getting these episodes is important, right? I think it would function in either order probably, this idea. So I don't know why I brought that up. My point. That he's presenting it this way right now, you know, right now in the story after freaking, after Tsuki, you know, after he has hit this point of my humanity, blah blah blah. He's in this introspection arc, and now he's aware of this thing, right? Because he's definitely aware of it. I agree with that point. The question is was he aware of it back then as much, or is he just he's definitely aware of it now? I'm just kind of, it makes me curious was he aware of it back then, you know? Because we're getting it through a later lens, right? It's the flashback part of this narrative is very front and center, which I find interesting. It's crazy because like all these stories are told to us in the past tense right, because it's like this had happened is kind of like the way it's said. And so it's like, as much as we have like the Araragi in the stories we're watching, it's like we also have the Araragi that's telling the stories, and like they're both developing. Or something. Okay, that's starting to make my brain hurt. The point being, what is the point being? I don't know. It's just like it's kind of a fun question because like I'm constantly trying to figure out trying to find any moment of Araragi changing, right? And that become showing that he's aware of that thing. If that's something new, then that's showing a deeper level of like introspection and self-awareness for like him and his storytelling that would maybe be different, which I would find to be very interesting. So that's why I even bring that up. This is I like this idea with the banana peel because I talked about this a little bit last time. I like this idea of like the slipped on the banana peel kind of is a meaning of that she just kind of appeared and like there wasn't even like it's kind of like funny like with what Senjugahara even said earlier in like one of the chapter ones we read of like sometimes you just go from the ordinary into the ordinary, where it's just like there's not some grand scheme. You're just kind of walking along and something happens. Like Araragi's just walking on the staircase and then she literally is just like, oh, this girl's in my life now. I don't know why, it just kind of happens. Which I think is funny. Then, so like, he tried to save her life by catching her, but as a leader puts it, he didn't actually save her because she would have been fine because of her lack of weight. It's funny, like, this idea of like, I didn't actually do anything, so why is she in love with me? It's funny because like he didn't like literally save her from falling to her death because of the whole weightlessness thing, but he did bring her to Oshino, which was like essential, foundational in her improving and like breaking out of like her situation, right? And literally dealing with the crab. So that thing of like, why is she in love with me? Like I didn't actually do anything. It's like, well, no, Araragi, you did do something, but also it's crazy because like Oshino himself would say like, I didn't like you're the one who helped yourself, right? That's like what he would say, like he said to Senjugahara, So it's like this weird thing of like I almost want to like say both are true, where it's like we can like I want everybody to take the credit they deserve, I want Senjugahara to be able to take the credit of like I came here and I did this and I worked it out and I like fixed it, she's the horse drinking the water, but also Araragi's the one that got her over here to do it, so like I wouldn't want one to take all the credit and the other to not. And so it's, I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. One thing I really liked, though, a little later with, like, some Hachikuji thing of, like, just as it turns out, the childness Araragi worries about is actually invisible to Senjugahara, that line. Just because that's literally the case, right? Where, like, where she just straight up couldn't see Hachikuji. That's just crazy to me. I mean, that's just, like, that's rewatch right there. That's like if I literally you rewatch it and you're like, wait a second, it makes so much more sense. It's like because on like one level it's like we could see all the hints during the arc of she doesn't actually exist, she's a snail or whatever, or like she's not actually like there as a human girl, she's there as a freaking snail oddity. Like you can see that on a rewatch, but then like now that we're this deep in, if we did a rewatch, then I feel like it would be like that would be like the bottom of our concerns of crazy things, and it would be like no, it's not just that she's an oddity, it's that she's also his inner childishness that he worries about, like this is the freaking stagnative blah, 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 and Senjugahara, I don't know, it's just so sick. I don't have like a ton to jump in right off the bat though. I think this is true. The adolescent fantasy fever dream of Kizu with the generic super teen light novel, I think is very fair. Like this is just some Kizu descriptions that I'm pretty happy with. I like this part tying it into Neko Kuro 4, where Araragi and Hanakawa are like saying that like, oh yeah, we hate each other, that being like there's a parallel that's really interesting to me between Araragi and like Hanakawa. Like Araragi saves Hanakawa's life from episode, and he uses his like vampirism to save her life, because like he like bleeds onto her, and I think that like fixes her, right, if I'm remembering that right. And that would be like a very interesting distinction from his relationship with Senjugahara, where he didn't save her, like she was fine, so if he truly thinks that he didn't save Senjugahara, but then he did save Hanakawa, then that's like seeing that the person he didn't save is the person that he's like actually girlfriend boyfriend with, and the person he did save is the person that like it was such a mess with for so long, is a really interesting distinction. Though yeah, I mean it goes back to like these are all Araragi self-perceptions, you know, where I would say like, no, Araragi, you did in a sense save Senjugahara, but you know, of course he doesn't necessarily think it that way, which makes it just another couple like chunks where it's like you got to dig through Araragi's mental entire like every mental perception he has of other characters to get anywhere, you know, which is crazy, and I mean that's why it's so cool, but like yeah, without the expectations, it's like, is there like an that's what I want to say. It's interesting, like that on that kind of point of like that possible distinction. Is there like an expectation with that comes with like having saved one, where it's like the hero is earned? It's like the hero, the knight in shining armor slays the dragon and then gets the princess, you know, and then they get to like live happily ever after. So it's like, I saved you, I'm the hero, and therefore it's only right that I get something in return. Is there like an expectation that's baked into that part? And since he didn't feel that way with Senjugahara, that put them in like a potentially even healthier spot where they didn't have those expectations for each other. Perhaps I don't know. That's just an interesting little way to spin it. Just because getting into like hero dialogue is really interesting. Because we talked about that a little bit before with like Kaiki. And like his comparison to like the rest of the specialists, and Araragi, like how Hanakawa sees Araragi as a hero, you know, end of Tsubasa Tiger, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just it's an interesting little line of thought to kind of like to poke down a little bit. This I thought was kind of crazy too, of like Kambaru's deflection of his question at the end implies that she doesn't see anyone in her future, and tying that to her projection of Numachi later is pretty sad. Oof. It makes me curious, like, if she actually doesn't see anyone in her future. Like maybe, because the way she says it, it feels like a deflection. Because she immediately goes to, like, erotic jokingness, right? Which is usually used as a way to deflect. So, to say that she doesn't see anyone in her future, like, maybe it's the case that she doesn't see anyone, and that is something that is, like, painful for her, so that makes her, deflect in an erotic way and be like, oh, I didn't even notice that there could have been someone in the mirror because I was looking at my boobs, you know? Like, that could be a way for her to deflect from the sad reality of not having seen anyone in her future. Because, like, she I mean, especially at this point in the story, because I did look, this is after Suruga Monkey, you know? Especially after this point in the story, like, Araragi and Senjugahara, like, boom. Like, they're good, right? And Kanbaru is aware of that. I mean, that's what Suruga Monkey was all about, right? That, like the jealousy, you know? If I'm remembering, right? Freaking, 8 months ago or something? But no, yeah, like, yeah. So, for, her, like, she wouldn't necessarily... I could see her not seeing Senjugahara in her future. Like, that makes a lot of sense, given, like, our current situation. So, like, has that kind of led her on, like, a, like, doomer? Is she just, like, doomer of, like, there's nobody for me, you know? Like, I have an unrequited love. Like, almost like a slight Nadeko thing, you know? Yeah. Which is interesting. And then, so, because, like, man, like, her and Numachi, that scene of, like, Numachi, like, seducing Kanbaru almost, and, like, kind of being, like, all on top of her for that moment. Like, they, as, like, they, like, rivals on the basketball court. I mean, that's like classic lead-in into a romantic situation. Like, the two rivals end up becoming the lesbian lovers. Like, that's, you know, like, I feel like that was like this the energy that was kind of going around, but then it was kind of shut down or like never really happened, you know, given the freaking reality of what was going on with the Numachi situation. Yeah, it just is sad that maybe like Kanbaru had like shut herself off to that idea so much going into that, because, and this is in like the water, and her not seeing anyone in the water potentially is a kind of like part of that. And I say potentially specifically because perhaps she did see someone in the water, and she didn't want to share that with Araragi because their barriers are too high up, right? And that's why she deflects. But in that case, who did she see and why, you know? With her, like, man, I wonder if her parental trauma is at all part of that as well, you know? Where, like, I mean, the love story of her father to her mother is seeing someone in this water, and then, you know, I don't think is exactly, like, she has baggage there, you know? So for her to repeat that love story would be, I feel like, something, like, traumatic or something she would probably shy away from, which is maybe why she wouldn't have seen anyone there. Yeah, I don't know, just some thoughts there. Good stuff. I like the last line, the tragedy of distorted reflections. Real. Man, but everything's distorted. There is no true. Where's my true ultra reflective mirror? Where is it? This is some of the Senju being protective of herself stuff, because that was kind of a part of the thing I talked about last time. Which I like, because I'm not even gonna pretend. I forgot that she was stapling Araragi's mouth. That whole thing of her going to and like threatening Araragi with all the school supply weapons, I completely forgot about that. I haven't thought about that once in the last like 6 months, you know? So that's crazy to me. Or I haven't thought about it in like the sense of actually analysis. Like I think I've thought about it as a joke a few times, but never like actually, you know, and been like, like what did that actually mean? My mouth has so much saliva in it. I don't know why I decided to share that, but yeah. So, yeah, I mean, she definitely was defending herself. She was, like, she had bad experiences with Kaiki and had her walls up ready to defend herself, right? Which is really interesting to me. Yeah, I mean, like, it makes sense given what happened with Kaiki. And given, like, her perspective of Araragi in that moment. Because Araragi do be kind of a bad boy, you know what I'm saying? Especially in, like, a super, like, high level, like, prep school or whatever. For, like, a kid to not show up to school and be kind of delinquent, like, that would stand out even more than normal, right? Yeah. So I appreciate those are kind of some, like, clarifications. Oh yeah, gauging Araragi's reaction to nudity, that's a good point as well. Yeah, so I appreciate that, like, those, like, pieces of evidence could kind of back up that point. So, like, yeah, I'm even more sold on, like, how much she would try to protect herself, given that. So, bring good stuff. And then what was this? I remember I hit the reply button. Oh yeah, also, just this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna, we have 2 little likes for just watch the OP, and then 2 little likes for just skip them. And we have this one that just says nice. Oh, let's, bing, bing, bing. Let's throw those in. I don't know. I mean, I'm probably just gonna skip them. I feel like it'll be I'm fine with an 8-minute Monogatari episode, and I feel like the payoff for Owari, for the OP, like the Owari OP, will be better in Owari, right? But I don't know. I mean, I don't really care that much. I don't think it's a big deal either way. Apparently, I'm pretty sure like there's not even that much of a spoiler in those episodes, I've been told, or like in that OP, I mean. So I think it's just kind of what feels right. In which case, it's just kind of like okay. But yeah, so I'll just add it in that in Bake, it is highlighted that she's the one to put a wall around her. In Monkey, Tsuruga Monkey, Hanakawa points out Araragi has that tendency too. Them being together is how those fronts are breaking. Man, it's like all those scenes of the like cards being stacked up, you know, and then it like, you know, like it'll be like Sejigahara being surrounded by like a house of like a tower of cards or whatever, and then it like crumples down at the end of the scene. I mean, that's literally that being illustrated, right? And explicitly, Senjo talks about the safe spots on the top of the school. I was thinking about my personal security after entering Naoetsu High. She was a woman who took greater precautions compared to others. So yeah, boom, even more stuff there. This is crazy. I've never even thought about this. That Araragi's hair being long is so that he can hide his vampire bite. That's sick. And that makes me think, is there ever going to be a time where Araragi's going to cut his hair and, like, loud and proud, like, have the vampire bite? I mean, the only way that would happen is if he was somehow comfortable with, like, sharing that he was bitten by a vampire, which would be, like, a public showing of there are oddities, you know? Like, instead of trying to, like, withhold that information. So that would be, a fundamental insano shift. But yeah, it's just like, ooh. I just like it, I like it. Timeline, we love the timeline separated into like a seasonal gap kind of thing here with like Nisei ending here, Koi ending here, and then Suki beginning there, and then we got little Hana just at its end. Get a little Hana Monogatari. But yeah, plan is to finish Koyomi before jumping into Owari. Just going full light novel, just F it, we ball full send, see what happens, should be fun. I liked this as well, of like regarding Araragi not opening up the doors to Tsuruga Kanbaru. I think Araragi in some small ways not ready to be fully vulnerable with her yet, which makes sense considering that, because yeah, if we look at our little timeline here, literally Tsuruga Monkey was like a little bit of go, so given that she was trying to kill him, it's like, okay, maybe I'm not fully feeling like connecting with this thing that not only like could be a projection of my what's the exact word, like resentment, you know, could be like all those things and like being comfortable with that part of Araragi, but also a like this is something that very directly hurt me and attacked me, you know, which is different than like being comfortable with like Hachikuji or like most of the other characters like Sengoku, who in Bake like nobody had really tried to explicitly hurt Araragi other than what, like Kanbaru and Hanakawa, and then Hanakawa as Black Hanakawa, I mean, but then Hanakawa is literally like idolized, so she even has like a reason that Kanbaru doesn't have to like kind of have that gap be bridged. But yeah, and also consider that like Araragi and Kanbaru will literally be like, there was this scene that Kanbaru, I think at the end of Suruga Monkey, like captured Araragi and started stripping him or something, and then Araragi was like, I will never molest Hachikuji again, you know, where she really is on the offensive so much and like almost like forcefully trying to break down his doors, so for him to lock her out I think makes sense in that way. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't know what that is, so I close it. Senjo Yoga neuron activation, dad's a rip. Real. What's this thing about milk here? What's this thing about milk? Let's see. Milk because Araragi's dad has an unknown status. Maybe he got milk. Let's see. Okay. I don't even know the context of what was I talking? I don't even know. I don't need to rewatch my stuff. Real. Yeah. Araragi's dad went to go get milk. Who knows? This is an interesting thing that like water's the universal solvent. I mean, you put sugar in water, what happens? It dissolves. You put sugar in water. I already said that. You put salt in water, what happens? It dissolves. You put radiation into water, what happens? I don't know. But like, yeah. I think that goes into it might be in here. Yeah, it goes into the whole like the Kanbaru's mom's philosophy of if you can't be a medicine, then turn into a poison. Otherwise, you just be plain old water. Like water, I feel like one of the importances of it in the way it's being used is it can do so many different things, right? It can be a medicine. It can be if you can't be a medicine, then turn to a poison. Otherwise, you just be plain old water. Well, the thing with water is it can like. I don't even know if it's trying to be used in this way. So wait, I'm taking a step back. I started that statement off too strong. Take a step back. But like the idea of water, I feel like is in the middle point between extremes. So it's like it can go both ways, you know? In the same way that like let me just read some of this of like Kanbaru's being raised from these ideals, and so we can kind of see that with she is either fully running or fully stopping, like at the end of Hana Monogatari when she like runs until she completely stops and then stops at a crossroads, you know? So I feel like the water is the middle ground at which things occur. Do you kind of, you know what I mean? I don't know. Let's pause on that. Let me just go to the top of this comment and go down, because the more I start talking, I was like, maybe I'm not onto something. Let's just go to the comment. Before I get to the practice, I want to talk about... Okay, let me try that again. Before I get on topic, I just want to lean back onto old ideas, since you like the topic of family side of Araragi. Mayoi Snail is all about being lost, right? But about what is family related? Takes place on Mother's Day. The idea of he got into an argument with his sisters, or Karen specifically, because she wanted to celebrate all together while he did not want to be part of it. Really what started the snail spiral is Karen's "that's why you never grow up" comment, as it is later revealed. In actuality, he's very grateful for his parents. It is him getting into his own head. This is interesting to me, just for the line of, in actuality, he's very grateful for his parents. Is he? I don't know. I mean, grateful is an interesting word, because, like, I feel like, on one hand, he could be very grateful, but he also is resentful, you know? I would almost want to say both. Because, I mean, okay, like, let's say the man's grateful for his parents, then, like, okay, why don't you ever include them in your stories, Araragi? Like, that's kind of weird. You're not, like, attributing anything positive to them, and that, like, doesn't seem to be very, like, full of gratitude. So I'm not sure that Araragi's grateful. I think, like, to a degree that he is grateful, it would be like a um a child should be grateful to their parents for raising them. Like, that's the right thing to do. I feel like it would be he's grateful because he's supposed to be grateful because that's the right thing to do. But in reality, the framework in which he feels that he has to be grateful, he resents, and he feels like he got that from his parents. That's what I would say. So it's like, yes, but in a bigger scheme of things, no. Or like in a bigger schemes of things, yes, but that's exactly the problem. Okay. But yeah, so I like that. It's something he really internalized himself because he feels like he's not a good son. High school is when he really started having a falling out. And not a good son is like failing to meet up to those expectations, right? So that, is he resentful of his parents, or is that fully something internalized? Right? Because if he feels like he's not a good son, is there a part of him that goes like, and those are unfair expectations? Like, what is seen as a good son is something unfair? Is that something he's thinking, and that could lead to resentment? Like, I kind of think maybe, versus him just completely internalizing it. But I think him internalizing it is true. But I feel like there's also the separate part of him that's resentful. Call Ogi. Okay, ask Ogi about it. But yeah. Then we have our fun quotes, our new edition of Konbaru's. Even if you don't stray out of your lane, you can still drop out. Going full tilt down the road, down the track is certainly chugging along, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're moving forward. People can chug along backwards too, because every route comes with an escape route. That's kind of what I wanted to kind of go to the water thing, right? Of if you can't be medicine, then turn into a poison. It's like, if you're not going to be chugging along full speed ahead forward, then turn into a poison, then do it backwards, right? Either go fully down the track or go fully on the escape route out of the track. Because otherwise, you're just plain old water just sitting there, which is... But water can dissolve things. So is it bad to be water? God and devil are two sides of the same coin. Debate this endlessly as we might. Humans will always be dancing in the palm of their hands. You know what's crazy about this when I read this? Of, like, humans will always be dancing in the palm of their hands. In, like, one way you can read it as the hands of the gods and the devils. But in another way, you can read it as, like, humans' own hands. Where, yes, we may be dancing in the hands of the gods and devils, but maybe if we even want to kind of get oddity with it and say, like, the gods and the devils are, like, oddities in the sense that they stem from the human, and, like, perception. And, like, I'm thinking, like, Araragi with Hanakawa, like, idolizing her to the point of being, like, almost, like, deific, right? Or like we're putting freaking Sengoku on a god ascension thing, right? In the way that what is a god and a devil could be like an outward projection of a human thing, as opposed to something that like is an actual god that's like pushing down, like it's external force coming in. In that kind of way, is it like, are we dancing in our own hands? Are we our own puppet masters? And is that terrifying? Is that a terrifying truth to become aware of? That's like a necessary thing of growing up that Araragi's terrified of, wait a second, it really is entirely on me. Like, I have to take responsibility for my own life, It's not just the gods that I'm dancing in their hands, and it's their divine retribution for all the times that I've relied on my vampirism. No, it's me, and I'm dancing in my own hands. Or I'm dancing in the hands of Ogi, and Ogi's hands are my hands. Okay, let's calm down. But, like, I feel like, yeah, it could be something there. Which is why, and this is what I was kind of trying to say. It makes sense why Konbaru feels like she can only ever run or drop dead, because she was raised from that. So I like that a lot as well. Man, and it's crazy to me that she runs, and then she stops and breaks down at a crossroads. Okay. But yeah, so, as you've said about Konbaru's dad, seemingly exterior prophecies, actually an internal one, an internalized standard. Kind of what I'm trying to say with, like, the god and devil thing here. When it comes to her current relationship with mom. Oh yeah, Konbaru is along the same boat when it comes to her current relationship with her mom. She's gone, and in current form can only exist as memory, something undulating and imperfect. Self-reflection itself is an undulating and imperfect process. It is reconciling with internalized standards. What Hana turns into is all about this. Konbaru reaches a standstill and has so many routes to take, hence the crossroads. Fire, love it. She becomes paralyzed with it, which is where Araragi comes in, and is kind of like the light that like kind of helps her like figure out what to do, In water, Company does not reconcile with anything, as you've pointed out. It sort of feels like no progress is made, which I agree with. Hana immediately starts with reflection of eternal standards from imperfect memory. Bro, wait. Did they... I'm trying to remember. On the basketball court, was there reflective water? Wasn't there water on the basketball court at the end of Hana? I kind of feel like there was. I don't think I have Hana downloaded, so I couldn't even check. Or at the end of Hana in the... Yeah. I feel like there was the water theme was like breaking into the match versus Numachi, which was so cool. Or like episode 3 or whatever. Or maybe it was 4. I don't quite... No, it was 4. It was the end of Hana Monogatari, because after she talks to Adaragi, she like goes and actually does her thing with Numachi there. Yeah. So that's interesting. In the very least, Kabuto's standard to be able to run away is when she internalized. In Shiro, Mama Ragi herself says running away is not inherently wrong, averting your eyes is. Adaragi's averting his eyes, bro. Adaragi's averting his eyes to his own self-worth. Should have let your cat in for the first episode. Bro, real. No, I don't have a counter-argument. Real. Onanoki milk, I hate that. I said that. Kabuto abs got me acting up. Real. Missing legs, spitting bars per usual. I don't really come to reactions to see correct theories. It's more the process of theory crafting, which is more fascinating than just hearing the same thing over and over. And the dead dad theory, which has been so conveniently declared as wrong to us in a comment, here is a prime example of that. Who cares whether it's wrong or not? It elevates the series for me to see how someone could read it that way. Yeah, no, I agree with it completely. And I think that's exactly the fun part of reactions. And the reason a large reason of the part I'm doing this, you know? Cause like, man, dude, you have no idea how easy it would be for me to just shut up until I'm 100% sure on things. Like in every reaction. So like whenever like people are like, well, actually you're wrong because of XYZ. It's like yes, but like, that's kind of the point, you know? Like I could sit here and just wait for things to make sense, because guess what? That's so easy to do, you know? Or wait until like, because in the sense where we like bounce off of comments in a lot of different shows, just wait for somebody to say something that like is like, oh, now I have a read on the situation because of the way somebody approached something. Like, bro, it's so easy to do that, but that's not what I'm here for, man. So yeah, shake the hand on that one. But yeah, I also think it's more fun for the reactor to be given the space to make their own theories and have the uncertainty if they'll come true or not. I kind of agree with that as well, but you know, people will always do their thing. But I do agree with that overall. Because then it's the fun part of... That's why I always try to keep my doors open. I think people just get worried that, like, a reactor is, like, gets cemented on something, and then will, like, read the story wrong because they're too busy on their theory to actually listen to what's going on. Which is, like, a careful balance that needs to be struck. But, like, just because I'm passionate and, like, spend 30 minutes talking about a theory doesn't mean I think it's true. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. This, though, one thing I really love that made me say I think the dead dad theory holds up is you mentioned about how the focus on traffic signs could have meaning other than just Adaragi's black and white view and rules like that, like a traffic accident perhaps. Exactly. No, yeah. And, like, I feel like, especially with him, like, for Hachikuji to be such an important character to him, and she died in a traffic accident, but then he actually got to, like, help somebody that had passed away in a traffic accident and bring them home. It feels like that could be a projection of somebody in Adaragi's life died in a traffic accident and he couldn't bring them home because guess what? They're dead. So now Hachikuji comes in as, like, a way for him to, like reconcile with his own inability to help someone by helping somebody else, helping Hachikuji, you know? So even if it's not his dad, traffic is such a focus in this show, right? Whether it's the road analogies, whether it's the constant, like, Ogi talking to Adaragi, which is, I think, the first time Ogi even got introduced, she was talking about, like, the freaking traffic signs, right? And, like, the moment where everything is red or green or whatever, like, that moment, right? And like the safety that it makes someone feel, or Hachikuji, or just the constant visuals, like traffic signs and like traffic in general is such a like plot device and or such a theme, like such a motif that I think it could go beyond just a thematic thing of like the way that one paths through their life, because it's definitely that, like we're already there with that, but I think it could also be some sort of deeper reflection of something that had happened, especially because things happen to Adaragi that we don't know about. Like, I am so locked in on that idea, right? And so for it to be related to traffic or a traffic accident would make a lot of sense, especially considering that a traffic accident, right, would be something that's, I'm following the rules, I'm following reality, I'm doing what I should, I'm doing what's proper, I'm doing what's right. However, even if you do all that, something can come in and destroy you and end you and kill you, right? So it doesn't matter if you're doing everything proper or not. if someone is drunk out of their mind and swerves and then just head-ons you. Like, that's just how it goes. That's just, like, even if you stop at the red light. And that's what kind of what Ogi was talking about, right? So, yeah. Basically, Kombaru is so hot. But yeah. And then, yeah, look, I agree with missing legs. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun it's just fun to theorize, man. It's fun. That's just the way to, that's just the way to invest in the show. I feel like that's such a way to invest in the show. But yeah. Let me get Koyomi, the next Koyomi chapter 1 pulled up. Also, let me check real quick before I do that if I have Hana downloaded. I have Hana 4 downloaded. Why do I have you downloaded? Is there water on this core? I'm not even going to show you this, I don't think. Oh, no, Hana 5 is when the thing happens. No, I downloaded Hana 4 because that was the scene of... I literally have this one permanently downloaded because that's with the scene of Kombaru running, which is, like, such a, like, powerful scene, But yeah, okay. Well, I'm not going to worry about that now. Episode 5. Let me pull up the chapter. So page 1. Whoa, that's text 1. No. I want page 1. Wait, I sorted it wrong? Okay. Page 1. Got it up. Koyomi Wind. We're gathering the different elements like Last Airbender up in here. Koyomi Stone, Water, Wind. Okay, Koyomi Fires, like, up next, okay? And then we'll master them all. Okay, dude. Koyomi Wind. Nadeko, right? Probably a Nadeko. I mean, I'm seeing the bangs. That's easy Nadeko clap territory. Why are there 2 of them? She's really hitting on with a, hey, baby girl, let me whisper in your ear. Kind of vibe here. Also, like a sundress. Like, what isn't this what's called? And it's like a, I feel like that's like a symbol of like childlike innocence or like something. Like the blowing in the wind. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen that motif so much. Ooh, a sunflower! Sunflower is important. Frick, where have we seen sunflowers before? Didn't we see sunflowers in that one conversation with Araragi and Hanakawa and Kizu? Am I tripping? Let me go into my mind palace. Okay, Kizu. Okay, I'm seeing 90% of my Kizu mind palace is just Shinobu, and so we're gonna close it. Okay, I don't want to get into that. Interesting though. Okay. August 8th. Okay, let's read this. How long is this one? Low two pager. What is she about to say about roads? That's the real question. Literally, look. That's the first line. What does Nadeko Sengoku, a girl in her second year of middle school, think about roads? Does she even think about them at all? I'm first to conclude that she probably doesn't. I'm just making an assumption, of course, and depending on how you look at it, that might be a very rude thing to say. But a girl who keeps her head down, who goes through life with eyes downcast, doesn't see the road. The only thing she sees is her own 2 feet. But you would see what you're doing with the road, right? Because you would see your feet on the road, question mark? We'll see. She's a shoegazer. Okay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to be critical. Having walked, sometimes even run through life with my eyes completely shut, how could someone like me, with quite literally no foresight, take issue with Sengoku, who has lived her eyes fixed on her own feet by hook or by crook, or rather head-on without a wayward glance? As someone who avoids looking at any part of himself, feet included... Wow, you really just say that out loud, Araragi. Man, this introspection's going hard. For him to say that? Hey, okay, I appreciate that, Araragi. And who as a result lost sight of himself completely, because he can't see himself in the mirror with the reflection anymore. I should be praising rather than criticizing Sengoku in her perpetually downturned gaze. Step by step, always staring down at her feet, at her shoes, regardless of where she's coming from or where she's going. In every sense, that's a grueling life. Regardless of where she's coming from or where she's going. Life can be like that. Life is like that. It be like that. It's not for you or me to dismiss, at least to dismiss out of hand. Still, while hers may be a life, is she walking the path of humanity? Sengoku, who doesn't know what path she's following, who doesn't even know the name of the road she's on, has nothing to say about humanity. The most important thing I want to point out about the way Nadeko Sengoku goes through life, however, is that if you live your life with your head down, if you're always focused on your feet, then you might manage to avoid falling or tripping or straying from the path. But you can't avoid running into things unless you watch where you're going. And there's this, which may not at all be all that important, but talk of humanity aside, when you take the low road, the path of the snake, as in a real snake, there are no feet inside. Because snakes don't have feet. That's what you mean? The path of the snake, there are no feet in sight. Okay, interesting. This is like the big line, right? is if you're always focused on your feet, then you might manage to avoid falling or tripping or straying from the path, but you can't avoid running into things unless you watch where you're going. Because that's what I was kind of saying. Like, if you're always focused on your feet, like, you know, that is something, right? It's very, like, it's like self-protective. It's like a self-preservation kind of instinct or something. I mean, it reminds me of that. I mean, it's just, that's a very apt description of Nadeko, considering the whole, like, bangs in the eyes thing, right? The, you know, one of these and I'm looking down, like one of those. I mean, because looking down at your feet is, like, the exact same, I feel like that's, like, such one-to-one, you know? So for that to be, like, as much, you're looking down, which means you're not looking around, which means, A, you don't know where you are, and that means that you could run into things, right? Like that line of, brum, 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 always staring at her feet, regardless of where she's coming from, where she's going, in a sense, that's a grueling life. What is it? Where's the, yeah, right here. Who doesn't even know the name of the road she's on, has nothing to say about humanity. It's crazy. It's like Araragi, like, he's saying she has nothing to say about her, has nothing to say about humanity. I would disagree with you, Araragi. The point being, and I think, but I like that you think this way, right? I think that makes sense for you. What I would say though is like, because like for Araragi, humanity is conditional, right? Like, I don't think like, Sengoku, who is literally just a girl, like a human girl, he doesn't think has anything to say about humanity, despite being a human girl. So humanity, or at least being able to discuss humanity, is conditional on some level of, like, analysis or, like, looking around or something, right? Which I would disagree, in that her experience of looking at her own feet is a human experience, and therefore she would have something to say about that state of humanity, the human condition, you know, because she's gone through an experience of being human, right? With the action of looking down at herself. It is kind of the idea, though, of, like, she doesn't know which road she's on, so she doesn't know if she's on a human road or an oddity road or what. So, like, if she doesn't know where she is, then how can she base anything on anything, right? Of, like, she has no foundation on which to base her, any discussion out from, you know? So that's pretty crazy to me. But, like, it gets me into, like, an age-old question that I've thought, that, like, I sometimes think about, of, like, this gets into philosophy, right? So, like, can one do philosophy, like, to what degree can one do philosophy, do, like, inner thought or whatever, completely isolated, right? Could I just sit in a room and see nothing, like, no experience other than just my own brain, and can I practice thinking, and, like, can I practice philosophy, like a higher level of thought? Or to what degree can I, right? I feel like that's my favorite way of wording that question. Because I would say not that, like, yes, but not really. You know, where it's, like, so much of thought and experience, like, let's say experience, so much of, experience, no, that's begging the question. I don't know, so much of being human and, well, fuck. It's, like, this is the thing. This is why I think about this question, because it's so hard to, like, word and figure out. Of like how to figure that out, right? It's just, I put a lot of value on the external as a way to figure out the internal, and that's kind of part of the question as well, or like another way of approaching that kind of question of, like, how much can one learn about themselves completely isolated, right? That's like another way to kind of take like another question that's kind of tangentially related. How much can one learn about themselves completely isolated from others, right? Or like completely isolated from, like, outward experience, outward external factors, you know? And that's kind of what Nadeko's doing in as described, of she is looking down, she's almost fully in her own bubble. So what can she know about something greater as humanity? What can she know about perhaps even herself if she's locked herself away like this, you know? Because then you're discounting you're like discounting the possibility of how you might act given interactions with things you could never conceive of or expect, right? Because, like, what? Like, did she know how she was going, could she ever have understood how she was going to respond to Kaiki saying, "I know about your manga, you little snake"? Could she ever have expected that, right? Or like that experience that she had from an external Kaiki factor, I feel like could be a vessel for a lot of new internal understanding, you know? So in that way, I kind of am like, Araragi, I hear what you're saying, of she lacks something there, but I don't think she has nothing to say because of that. I'm more of a freaking centrist, okay? We stay balanced up in this hoe. Where it's like, there is some internal and some external. You know? And trying to, like, make hard and fast lines will just, at the end of the day, be arbitrary. Very interesting, though. It's interesting that we don't actually talk to Sengoku. Because Araragi doesn't consider Sengoku worthy of being talked to. Araragi instead fully makes an analysis of Sengoku that's separate from talking to her. So, or like getting her take on the matter. So that's interesting. And so I'm curious how that's going to play out in the episode. So let's, I think, jump. Oh, I didn't recap. I didn't do the last episode recap. Or like scroll through. There's really not that much to scroll through with these Koyomi episodes, considering that like the comments are literally just, let's think about the episode we just watched. I'll pull it up for a second, but if I don't see anything right away, then I'm just gonna jump into Koyomi 4. Or 5, I mean. Because, yeah, I mean, we were talking about all of that stuff. Like, exactly. I mean, there is the kind of fun part, I'll say, as I'm pulling up 5, of how water's not the only thing that's reflective, you know? The metal blimp thing that Araragi sees that has in his room, he sees his own face reflected in that. So, water is just one vessel of reflection, and it can be changing and unsure, you know. But then, like, what would a mirror be? Like conceptual, like thematically, like what does water represent? Because there's a lot going on there, you know, like given like Kombu and Ga and Toei and all that kind of stuff. What does water represent? And then what would other reflective surfaces represent, if any? Like, are we gonna play with that? But yeah, let's jump into episode 5. Phone, get out of here. I'm not drinking anything. I mean, I have a Dr. Pepper, but it's way too late at night for me to be taking in that caffeine. So we taking this one dry. That sounded odd. Get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack. Let's watch episode 5. Let me get comfortable in my chair again, because I get into weird sitting postures when I think too much. He really thinks he's L from Death Note? For real, for real. Okay, episode 5. Let's get going in a 3, a 2, a 1. Bye. Da 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 ba ba sigma da da ding da na. Okay. Crazy that I like this OP. I should probably actually watch instead of just dancing. It's just like so funny to me because it's like the one everybody knows. But little do they know the true meaning of this OP. Write your manga. I know you do it in here. Write your manga, you little snake. That was literally a shot of, look at her go. I thought it was studying, man. That little rat. This little rat. Man, it's like she doesn't even, I mean, does she even take responsibility for herself? I mean, she like doesn't really... Why is your hair that color? Green. Sorry. But, like, does she take responsibility for herself? Or, like, her romantic feelings with Araragi? Because she kind of just distances... She, like, compromises and distances from it by just making it fully into an unrequited thing, you know? At the end of the day. So, I'd be... You know? It's, like, it's very, like, internalized in that way. So I wonder if that's like an Araragi connection to her that I could make. Sextilius? I don't know what that means. Okay. Araragi, Nadeko, come over. Ooh, popcorn. Popcorn. Why did we invite her over, Araragi? Why did we do that? Get in your hair? We're having a movie night? What are we watching? Because Araragi invited me over. Okay. Machiavellian swindler? Are you talking about Kaiki? Ooh, party time. Okay. Why are we having a party? Yeah, I was about to ask. Fire sister business. It'd be like that. Yeah. So much popcorn. Whoa! Taking off the socks. Is there some kind of etiquette? I don't know about that etiquette. I've never seen sock etiquette like that. If anything, get your nasty feet off of my bed. Oh my goodness. They're at work. They work hard for their money. They're off. Hey, they're off on the streets. They're off on the streets. Not in that way. Doing police work. Calm down. Hadaragi's parents are prostitutes. I gotta focus. Focus. Why are they talking so fast? Just that they're like Home Alone, right? So it's like a ooh, you know. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, we're in August, right? I forgot. I forgot. You were born in April? That's kind of fun to know. I wonder if, like, what if Adaragi's dad ran over somebody else, and Adaragi, you know, felt like like it was like, wait a second, the guy that's supposed to be good like did something bad, or you know, like what if they did a mistake? That'd be up. Okay, good question. Caught wind, the Koyomi wind. Sunflowers. Oh, Gon, Izuku, and Hachikuji Maoi present. What the? Why them? What is happening? Hachikuji and Gon? What? Wholesome. Sengoku Nadeko. Aragi Koyomi. Oh, he's there! Kaiki's in the flowers. That was actually scary. Oh, like the wind and the freaking pollen. Is that what you mean? He is a pollinator, bro. Karen Bee. Bees propagate flowers. Wait. That would be crazy. I don't know if that's a connection, but that would be crazy. What's up, Kaiki? Who knows? Oh, wow. An extra part of this conversation. I don't know what that word means. Halcyon? Okay. Gotcha. Impurities. Negative connotation. Nothing to support them. Bro, Kaiki started like teaching him. Or the desperate, right? Like Senjugahara. But that was we got more information about that later, but yeah, also just people without that much power. Okay. Shinobu is chowing. No, real. Yeah. No, I mean, I like that. I like that. The vacuum that forms before the chaos. Like when the waters recede before a tsunami. Doubt the times. I was about to say Ogi. Darkness means Ogi. Panic! Panic! Batten down the hatches. That means Ogi, bro. Doubt the times? Wow. Alright, here you go. Ooh. Man, I kind of wish that conversation was longer. That was just... Bro, the Deco got hoed. The Deco didn't get to do anything. Kaiki literally comes in and just rolls it. Doubt the times. Okay, so what you're telling me is something bad's about to happen. I already thought that. Ogi terrifies me. I know something awful's about to happen. Araragi's losing his humanity permanently, while Ogi's out there, like, saying that she loves being all sadistic and such. Yeah, something bad's gonna happen. It's gonna just keep getting worse. For sure, until Ogi's dealt with. But then we have to get to, like, some core Araragi issues, you know, repair the sandbox type behavior. You know. Goen and Hachikuji were the ones that made that little film? Huh? I mean, like, Goen I get, but Hachikuji? Together? Bro, imagine if his mom is in one of these arcs. I would lose it, bro. Bro, imagine if Owari, if the 8 and 9, which are the ones with the Owari OP, have to do with his mother, and Owari arc is all about his mother, bro. That would be crazy. Oh, that would be nutso. That'd be so fun. Dude, I don't know if it is, and I don't even think it might be, but that would literally have me salivating. And not just because it's Araragi's mom, because we know she'll go be a fine woman. Okay. Woo! I'm not gonna lie, as soon as he talked about her parent, like, she was like, what are your parents, like, something about his parents, and then I had the thought of, like, prostitutes. I know that it's completely a joke, but that distracted me so much that I don't remember the dialogue. When did we talk about that? That literally, you have no idea. I don't think I read, like, the next 3 sentences that they said. It was actually so bad. And she's getting all, like, okay, Nadeko, you're not that smooth. They come as a 2-for-1 combo. We're just talking about Kaboru, or, Karen and Tsukiki. Freaking Nadeko, bro. Okay, they're at work. They work hard for the money. You know I'm reading yeah, my folks are out. I mean, they're at work. Araragi's dad is chilling. He's around. I mean, I'm willing to guess, but, you know. Man, I'm curious. Because I feel like there could be so many... Bro, my hair is doing an Araragi right now. I am Araragi, and Araragi is me, bro. My antenna. Okay, get rid of it. No, I don't want to be Araragi. I have more of them now. Okay. Focus! Can we focus, man? I mean, they're at work. They work hard for the money. I wonder if one of them did something evil, and as a police officer who represents, like, a societal moral structure, and also as, like, the moral framework that's, like, that he got from them. So, like, their actions would also be a reflection of, like, his own moral framework, that, like, externally has been pushed on him, his, like, sense of justice. Like, what if one of them did something wrong? You know? Like, Araragi's dad mom, like, I don't know, ran someone over. Boom. That ties together, like, all the traffic stuff, and that's like a, you know, that'd be cool. Whoa, okay, new strat just dropped. Araragi's dad is the one that ran over Hachikuji. Whoa! Whoa! No, didn't we see who ran over Hachikuji? It was just some, like, car or something? So, like, or, like, a truck or something? I think it was a truck. Araragi's dad's not gonna drive a truck. He would drive, like, a police cruiser. That would be such an insane twist, though. That'd be crazy. I don't think that's the case. But, like... Like, it'd be interesting if one of them did something that was, like, illegal. And, like, I don't know. Another thing, which I don't think is true, but is a fun idea, is, like, Araragi's dad got arrested. You know? Like, police officer got arrested. That's, like, so counterintuitive to, like, all of those things. And it would be like a fundamental crack in Araragi's sense of justice and his relationship with his parents. You know? So I could see that being... I don't think that's the case, because, like, we haven't gotten anything that would lead us there, other than, like, that would serve as, like, I think a cool thematic thread, but I don't think we've actually seen evidence of that, right? But we haven't seen much evidence for anything with the parents, you know, which is why it's so hard to, like, talk about them. And they're also so thematically important, so that's kind of where we get so stuck. But, yeah, it'd be cool if one of them did something bad. Like illegal. Specifically illegal, because that would crack the justice, I think, the most. But what? Imagine they jaywalk. That's it. Now Araragi's dad jaywalks, and then Araragi's like, wait a second. That's illegal. You're not supposed to do that. And then that's the, you know. You know what I mean? Because then that would be like the same thing with the traffic stuff. It doesn't even have to be an extreme thing. It could be a very minor thing, because Araragi was the guy that was burying insects as a kid. You know? So it's not like I feel like even a very small thing that he would notice, especially coming from his parents, as a breach of justice, because I think has a very firm idea of that in his brain, or like a very, like, devout almost thing of that in his brain. Any small, like, even something small, I think would be a big crack. Hence, and I love the Hachikuji, like, playpen with the devil face thing, with the ogre face or whatever. That I think is such a good encapsulation of Araragi's character, so I'm gonna keep referencing it, you know. But that's interesting. Is there what else here? Yeah, I feel like most of these lines were just Sengoku saying, like, "Oh, so we're alone." So I think that's what just they were. But let me actually read these. Like, there was, like, a big line. Yeah, like, I didn't read this line at all because I was too busy thinking about Araragi's parents. Anything wrong about a party for two? Not at all. Bro, put your socks back on. I know Araragi has a thing for feet, bro. And the only reason I say that is because every single time... We have so many shots of feet in this show. Like, that one shot, and the only reason I bring it up is because people spam it as a GIF in the Discord sometimes. And by people, I mean one person specifically, you know who you are. The one of Shinobu putting her feet up in the bath? Yeah. I'm constantly reminded about, like, the Araragi foot thing, because I think that's low-key, like, I would make the case of, yeah, he probably has a thing for feet, just a little bit, okay? But okay, let's actually try to look at it from, like, thematically, like, okay, what if the feet are, like her taking off the socks, I mean, she only looks down at her feet, she's like a shoe dweller, or whatever, however he described it in the chapter 1 we read, so in that way, like, looking down at the feet... ignoring, or like the infatuation with the feet would be like the infatuation of like how one travels their life. And Shinobu, okay, ready? I'm gonna take this one all the way to the moon. The fascination with the feet is a fascination on how people travel their life, because life is like a road or a path, and one can walk down or run down it. So that's where the idea for feet comes from. So when Shinobu's putting her feet in the camera during the bath scene, that's her trying to force the way that she maneuvers her life, aka wanting to die, onto the camera, aka Araragi. So her putting her feet in our face is her trying to tell Araragi to kill himself. Bam, bro. I just threw my stress ball across the room. That's crazy to me. Okay. That's like 80% kind of a joke, but like, is it really? That's kind of the thing, though. You can get to the point that, like, it honestly probably is just them trolling and putting feet on our face, but like, you get to a point that you can, like, pattern recognition brain goes crazy, you know? And like, when a lot of it's like personal, you know, like biases coming in or whatever, I don't have a thing for feet. That's not what I mean. It gets crazy. But in that way, this show is a vessel for people to understand themselves better. So I'm fine for going off about Shinobu feet. Not in that way. Calm yourself. If it means I understand myself or the story in like a newer, different way. Blah, blah, blah. Continue. Why did we have this party? Just to do... What? Why did we do this? Why are we having a party? Just to kind of celebrate the Kaiki thing? Today was fantastic. She's like, hey, it was already good. The little cute snake icons. Okay, dude. Sage, mediocrity, second rate. Whoa, whoa, what? Secured unemployment, married, seeking unemployment, and boss versus sage, mediocrity, and second rate? Huh? Why are we sage? Why is second rate and mediocrity, which are probably like self-worth things that, I don't know, Araragi thinks of himself perhaps, going up against like marriage and boss? Like I could see that being like things of the future, like, you know, I'm gonna have a boss, I'm gonna be working, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have security and employment. Like those are like adult things. So like second rate and mediocrity going up against that would be like his own insecurities and self-worth issues about himself that are going up against what could be him progressing as an adult and being married and being a secured employment and having a boss, all that kind of stuff. But sage, why is sage there? Does he feel that does he feel that some degree of him like being a sage or like thinking about things is stopping him from like, but is it like an elite, like almost like an elitism thing, or like something where it's like, I am a sage, I can see the fabric of the world, and for that reason I am not going to step into it as an adult? Like, does he have some sort of crazy thing there of like he thinks his own like some degree of wisdom has like prevented him from going down the normie path to being an adult? I don't know. I'm very confused. I'm not confused. I'm very intrigued about that sage there. The rest of that makes sense to me though. But yeah, the sunflower thing was so interesting to me. Sunflowers, I mean, pollination with wind and it being like these are all the students and the pollen going between them that Kaiki controls is like the spreading of the rumors. That's like one thing. But like, I feel like this was a prior element for an analogy back in like Kizu or something, but I don't remember it. So if that is a thing to connect, I mean, that's an idea that we might be able to deal with. Kaiki is just in them, which is so funny. But expecting someone to just take something to just take off by itself is akin to relying on natural propagation. Yeah, because natural propagation is like the wind is. If we don't have bees moving between the flowers, then the natural propagation would be them pollinating themselves without a bee or something. Which is funny. It makes me think that Karen B was like, I don't know, like part of the goal or something. Like she was used in some way to make the rumor explode into popularity and to propagate the rumor because one of the Fire Sisters has. It's literally kind of like that idea of like saying like, oh, he would never come to Tsukihi directly because that would be like too obvious. It would be more like a heard from a friend of a friend kind of thing. Karen heard about it from a friend of a friend kind of thing, and then she, as one of the Fire Sisters, is probably also very... I mean, she is connected to Tsukihi, so we could even take it back to Tsukihi of, like, the Fire Sisters became the propagators of the rumor, hence Karen B, if we want to use that for, like, the analogy. That could be... That's kind of sick. Kaiki in the flowers. It's fun that seeing Kaiki, like, causes the film to deteriorate. So that, I don't know, I feel like that just shows, like, Araragi perception of Kaiki. Power to read the winds. I agree with what he's saying. Impurities in the human spirit breed vulnerabilities for the supernatural rumors and canards alike to take root. Right? Yeah. Where it's like the students didn't trust or like weren't very connected to each other. Therefore, my charms I gave them was able to take root because it was based on their impurities. I mean, it's kind of a crazy philosophy of, like... it's almost like... Okay, this is me being very extreme, but it's like, I have an axe, and I have murdered you with it. But, since you were vulnerable to axe, that it's your fault. You kind of get what I mean? Where it's like, I have shot you in the head, but you're not bulletproof, which is like, you're inviting the pain to happen. You know? Like, that doesn't, like, on one sense it makes sense, but on another sense it doesn't make sense, you know? Because it's like, no, like, I'm not built to be immune to an axe strike. So you striking with an axe doesn't, like, yeah, it proves that I'm vulnerable to axe, but that's not because I'm an impurity in human spirit. Every human weakness is not because of an impurity in human spirit, okay? You're not less human because you're weak. Because guess what? Being weak is part of being human. Listen to me when I tell you, Araragi. You know? Yeah. So just because you can get murdered by an axe doesn't mean that you're impure in human spirit. And I know that's kind of, I think, like, that almost is, I'm maybe escaping what they're trying to say, but I feel like it kind of keys into maybe some other stuff. Yeah, because, like, in the sense of the charms, it makes a ton of sense. Like, the charms only latched on because people started using it because they had bad relationships. So it's a chicken and the egg, right? Is it that the charms made the relationships horrible, or is it that their relationships were horrible, which allowed the charms to take root? And I would agree that the relationship, I mean, but it made a bad situation worse, right, Kaiki? It worsened what was there. This ending thing is the crazy thing of, like, what do you say? You need to be worried about, like, a vacuum. If you want to debate the chaotic atmosphere that gives rise to trends, right? Because, like, Shinobu left and then that, like, give Kaiki a spot. We should rather be discussing the vacuum that forms before the chaos. Kaiki's literally looking me in the eyes and saying, I'm warning you, it's coming. The dark clouds are coming. The chaos is coming. Oh no. Ogi chaos. Bro, imagine if one of these arcs is like Ogi blank. No, it's gonna be Koyomi Ogi. Imagine if we got to read Koyomi Ogi. I think I would die. I think I would die on the spot. That would be such an insane arc name, Koyomi Ogi. I don't think it would be, because it'd be like Koyomi Rat, you know, because I call Ogi a rat. It'd be like Koyomi Rat and Ogi's the rat. Or, you know, in the same way that's like, yeah, I don't know what animal or like what oddity name Ogi would have. But it would be like Koyomi and then whatever Ogi is, right? Koyomi Darkness, and then it's yeah, Koyomi Darkness, and then it's Ogi. Boom. Because whenever they say darkness, that's a standard for Ogi. I'm pretty much like sold on that idea. I'm pretty happy with that. Perhaps I should call it a void. And so I shall leave you with a piece of advice. Darkness being a void is interesting. Because, I mean, true, but I haven't really thought of it that way, I guess. Well, like, kind of. Like, I've thought of it a little bit, but in this context, it's crazy. If any incomprehensible trends come into fashion, doubt the times. What do you mean by doubt the times? Danger could be lurking on the horizon. Okay, so just be careful. For it could be that the times itself may be being engulfed by a darkness. The city at large is being... Well, is it like the city at... Okay, so is it like... You know what I think it would be like? When it says the times itself may be engulfed, I feel like times itself could be a stand-in for Araragi. Because, like, each of these... many of these arcs are, like... We can read them as... projections of Araragi, like Araragi dealing with like projected parts of himself, right? So if a truly incomprehensible thing happens, aka Ogi, aka like the trends that I think Ogi is like being kind of part of, like the vacuum, if the vacuum appears, then that means that like by times itself being engulfed by darkness, I think that's like it's no longer that Araragi is dealing with like the projections of things, but like the core issues of Araragi are like now that, you know, now a thing. It's like that's the times itself being engulfed. It's like that bigger schema, you know, where because I'd almost want to say like the city itself being engulfed by darkness, like that's what times itself means. And then it's like the city is a representation of Araragi as a whole. The balancing of the city is the balancing of Araragi's inner spirit. Whoa, dude, man! And then if we put Shinobu at the top of that, then that would be like saying that you should kill yourself. Maybe. Is that a thought? Because Shinobu represents, like, that's what the Shinobu was saying to do. But maybe that's an outdated idea and wouldn't work with her ascension to godhood being an idea, right? I don't know. And then, yeah. Then Sengoku has, like, a failed attempt for, like, the like, victim complex kind of thing. Interesting. Did you have anything else to say, Kaiki? Darkness shot engulfed by a darkness. Shinobi takes a massive bite of a donut. She enjoying that, Mr. Donut. Okay, then he's just like, give me money. I shared with you a most important, almost invaluable teaching of my trade. This is crazy. Araragi's actually showing us a scene where Kaiki's teaching him something, and Araragi's going, that's interesting. You know? I feel like that's like, we haven't seen this previously, probably because Araragi doesn't like the idea of, like, Dang, he actually had a good point that I'm now thinking about. I was like, yeah, that was kind of important. He was kind of right. Man, Shinobu just chowing. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Do I have anything else to say on this one here? Legs. Look, there's her legs. That's cool. No, that's not a neuron activation. I need you to be quiet. She's like 12 or something. She's like 14. Yeah, Shinobu eating the donut. I'm just, man, everything is Ogi, bro. Everything is Ogi. Not everything, but I just think so much about this Ogi character. Ever since, like, the potential connection of this being, like, a deeper thing with Araragi, because I see Araragi in every scene, even if Araragi's not in it, or not every scene, but, like, in every arc, even if Araragi's not in it, and so now I'm seeing Ogi in every arc if Ogi's not even in it, you know? So it's like the same principle as, like, happened again. Man, that shot of Araragi looking in the mirror, it's like he can't self-reflect anymore, so he's going back in time to the point that he could self-reflect and using that. That's kind of crazy. I don't know. Ugh, but it's like he can't self-reflect literally anymore, like in the story, like with where we left off in the previous arc. But like now we're immediately self-reflecting. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's almost like counterintuitive, where like he looks in the mirror and he can't see himself, but then look, we're literally having an arc where he's seeing himself. That's crazy. Yeah, it's almost like your own perceptions may be in need of fixing up, Araragi. But yeah, okay, I think that's all I got for this episode, though, of episode 5 of Koyomimonogatari. On the next episode 6 should be exciting. Of course, if you like the video, subscribe. If you're new, blah, 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 come out and say, or join the Discord and talk to me or other Monogatari fans there. Really does help me out. Notification bell as well. Check the socials on my links in the YouTube. You know how it goes. But yeah, until then, until next episode, until episode 6, halfway point, kind of exciting, should be exciting. I'll be seeing you then. Peace.